Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Voices of British Orthodoxy. Today is the 12th of November, as according to the. I'm Riddle Azar. Welcome to Voices of British Orthodoxy. I hope you all had a very wonderful day. We have a few saints today, so let's get right into it. Our first saint of the day is Saint Cadwalador. He has a long entry on the Celtic Saints website, so I'm going to just bring that across for those that do want to read it. Oh, that's actually decent time. Right, traditionally known as the last king, and he is from the 7th century. Traditionally known as the last king of the Britons, and founder of the church at Clan Cadwalador in Anglesey. Little information remains of Saint Cadwaladr's life. The Welsh chronicles state that he succumbed to the plague and reposed in 682, which several other sources seem to confirm. However, the Historia Britonum claims that Saint Cadwaladr's reposed from the plague during the reign of King Oswy of Northumbria, which ended in 671. Therefore, his repose during the plague of 664 seems more likely. Saint Cadwaladr should not be confused with the Anglo-Saxon Saint Cadwalla, whose feast day is on the 20th of April. Just going to... Oh, wow. Okay. Right. 5 seconds to, actually... The entry in the group chat just simply says Saint Cadwaladr, and then, the Latinized names, which is Cadwaladorus, King of the Welsh, bracket 664 AD, called the last king of Britain of the ancient British race. Right, let's make this the thingy, and then we scroll down. Oh, apparently it has a Troparion. Okay, interesting. I'll give you a couple of seconds to, read this. Well, to pause to read, and then I will scroll down. Oh wait, he apparently has an icon. Oh, excellent. Continue to cite. Oh, that's actually... You know what? I don't know how I'm meant to thingy, but... Oh, wait. Okay, perfect. It's a beautiful icon. Anyway, according to this, he has a Troparion in the 3rd tone, which is... all earthly honor and power you regarded as naught, and you did set your heart on the wealth of this world. And you did not... And... Let's start up again, from the beginning again. Troparion is sung in tone 3, and it goes, all earthly honor and power you regarded as naught, and did not set your heart on the wealth of this world. You gave your possessions to the destitute and grief-stricken, and your obedience to Christ made you a consoler of the pitiful and a comforter to the sick. Therefore you inherited the heavenly kingdom, and are called blessed, O Cadwaladr, the righteous king. Righteous king. Pray before Christ our God for the salvation. Pray before Christ our God for the Orthodox faith to flourish in our land and for our soul's salvation. A lot of mistakes made there. Do forgive me. Which thing is next? It is Cumin. Yes, Cumin Fada is the next saint in here as well, and he is from the 7th century. Here's the entry here if you want to read it. He does have a group chat entry, which is always wonderful. St. Cumin Fada was an important mid-7th century Irish theologian who is said to have been a member of the leading dynasty, or perhaps even the son of the King of Westminster, and possibly a foster son of St. Ita, who we will commemorate on the 15th of January. St. Cumin received monastic tonsure at Clonfert Monastery, and served as lector at the school there. From Clonfert he went to Kilcommon in present-day County Mayo. He founded a monastery and was its first abbot. I assume that's meant to say where. Yeah. Anyway, a man of outstanding education, St. Cummian's library held no fewer than 40 manuscripts, including the 10 Paschal tracts, among them one he attributed to Sanctus Patricius Paternoster, as well as a letter possibly written by Pelagius, an ardent advocate of the Roman practice for calculating Easter. St. Cummian is best remembered for his De Controversia Pascali, which demonstrates his expansive knowledge, consisting of 5 manuscript folios. De Controversia Pascali draws upon the Vulgate and the Vetus Latina editions of the Bible. Commentary by Saints Augustine of Hippo, Jerome, Cyprian, Pope Gregory the Dialogist, and from Origen and Ambrosiaster. He further buttresses his position with excerpts from canon law, ecclesiastical history, and decrees from the First Ecumenical Council, Seventh Ecumenical Council, and Arle, in their original unaltered versions. Finally, St. Cummian refers to the decretal that gave the See of Rome the final word when the Irish Church was unable to settle disputes. He may well have been the author of a commentary of the Gospel of Mark, and it is quite likely that he wrote a computistical manual which is heavily cited in De Ratione Computandi, a computistical manual by an unknown author. In addition, it is believed that St. Cummian may be the author of a penitential and a hymn of the Apostles under the nom de plume of Cummianus Longus. St. Cummian reposed in 662 and was buried at Clonfert. In 1162, his relics were translated from their grave to a shrine, also at Clonfert. His group chat entry just says St. Cummian Father, brackets Cummianus, monk at Clonfert who founded the monastery of Kilcummin, and then in brackets 662 AD. The book says that the next entry is... interesting. Huh. So this person does come up in the group chat, but he doesn't come up in the book. Unless I am a idiot, which is possible. But our next entry is for Saint Machar of Aberdeen, of Iona, also known as Macharius or Machumna, and he is from the 6th century. Saint Machar was a native of Ireland, who, after being baptized by Saint Columba of Lindisfarne, of Lindisfarne, who we commemorate on the 18th of February, became a disciple of Saint Columba, who is commemorated on the 9th of June, pointing him on his journey to Iona as one of the band of Irish monks who played an integral role in the enlightening of Scotland. The limited information on the life of Saint Machar that does exist is drawn from 3 extant partial versions of his life, which combined yield a single basic life. The earliest of these is a late 14th century account written in verse in Scots, confirmed for the most part by the reception of the key parts in Manus o Domnails, Betha Colame Chile, and then in brackets 1532, and a rather cursory account from the Aberdeen Breviary from 1509 to 10. As St. Machar is believed to have flourished in the 6th century, it is difficult to assess the reliability of these later narratives. In addition, University of Aberdeen professor of Gaelic Colm O. Beowil posited that Saints Machar and Kentigern Mungo, who was commemorated on the 13th of January, were the same person, based upon a possible linguistic link between their names. Secularists always trying to dismay our saints. Anyway, we have one last paragraph. At Iona, St. Machar was consecrated bishop, and accompanied by 12 monks, was sent to the northeast of Scotland, where they laboured to enlighten the Picts. A 14th century legend states that St. Machar was told in a vision to build a church at a place where a river bends into the shape of a bishop's crosier before flowing into the sea. St. Machar followed this command, building a church (c.580) at a site in Old Aberdeen, overlooking the spot where the River Don bends it in the shape of a crosier. Approximately 1 kilometre, which is 0.6 miles, west of where the river empties into the North Sea. This church was replaced by a Norman cathedral in 1131, which demolished during the Scottish Reformation. Today, the Cathedral Church of St. Machar's Cathedral, a high kirk of the Church of Scotland, stands in this location. His group chat entry is St. Machar, Macarius, and Macumna, Bishop of Aberdeen, 6th century. Born in Ireland, he was baptised by St. Colman and became a disciple of St. Columba at Iona in Scotland. Later, he went with 12 disciples to convert the Picts near Aberdeen. He does have a Troparion, which is sunk in the first tone, or mode if you prefer. Thou didst bring many to the faith, erect numerous churches, extinguish the worship of false gods, and cast down idols, O Hierarch Machar. Establish thy cathedral at Old Aberdeen, as thou wast fearless and tireless in thy labours for Christ. Pray, O Saint, that we may be given strength to follow in thy footsteps, and that thereby we may be found worthy of his abundant mercy. Our next entry is for Saint Sinel of Cleanish, and he is also from the 6th century. Entry, of course, is back there for you all. St. Sinel founded and served as the first abbot of a monastery on Cleanish Island in Lougherne in County Fermanagh, Ulster. The little that has been written about him is, for the most part, found in the lives of 2 of his most famous pupils, Saints Columbanus of Babio, who we will commemorate on the 23rd of November, and Finian, who we commemorated back on the 21st of October. Many writers have said that Saint Sinel was one of the 12 apostles of Ireland, apparently confusing him with Saint Senan of Inniscathai of Scattery Island, who is commemorated on the 8th of March, who was one of the 12 apostles of Ireland. The date of Saint Sinel's repose is not known. However, based upon the dates St. Columbanus and Finian flourished, it is safe to say that he reposed towards the middle of the 6th century. His group chat entry just simply says St. Sinel of Cleanish, brackets, Senelis, Ireland, brackets, 6th century. So, it's not actually on here, but the next actual entry is for St. Yamar, who is from the 9th century. St. Weimar, a monk at the monastery of St. Mary, bracket the Fair Tokos, at Reculver in Kent, England, was martyred by invading Danes, c.830. Nothing further is known of his life. Group chat says something similar. St. Weimar, a monk at the monastery of Reculver in Kent in England, martyred by the Danes. Oh wait, no. Would that be pronounced Ymir? Ymir. Anyway, the next entry is for Saint Levinus, who I think is in the book. Let's see. No. Okay. So we actually have 2 different last entries. So in the book, it is Saint Lebwinus, also known as Liathwine or Leafwin, apostle to the Frisians. I mean, if this dude's to be anyway, and a patron of Deventer. Does it say anything about Deventer on this page? I think this is for a different entry. Never mind. He went to anyway, a monk at Ripon in England. He went to Holland and took place in the work begun by St. Boniface. He worked with St. Michaelius under St. Gregory of Utrecht and founded a church in Deventer, from where he preached to the Saxons and the Frisians. I mean, I want to suggest that this could be the same dude, but like, this entry is saying that he died in 6. This Saint Levinus of Alost, Bishop Martyr. No, wait. The person in the chat is just a monk. Okay, so these two are two separate final entries. Anyway, I will. I hope you may those saints intercede for us before the righteous judge. I will need to put I will put the Troparions in the description for you all. God bless you all, and Amen.